here is another example. Let's say you have read a reference, an article or a book chapter, whatever reference or source you are using, and you have come across this statement: electronic devices are indispensable. And you want to use the same content or the same meaning or the same idea in your research paper. But you have quoted a lot, and now you want to change to another way of making use of references, which is paraphrasing. So instead of saying electronic devices are indispensable, another way of saying the same idea differently is to say, we cannot live without electronic devices. So this is my way of saying it. We cannot live without electronic devices. Definitely, I have kept the key term, which is electronic devices. And I have said the same thing that the author has said in his statement, which is that they are important. But I have expressed it in a different way, which is we cannot live without. Indispensable, we cannot live without. Again, another way of saying the same idea but using my own words is electronic devices prove to be very useful. So I have used the main key term, which is electronic devices. I have also kept it in its initial position at the sentence as a subject. There is no harm in doing that as long as you are going to change everything that comes later. So I haven't used are here. I have used prove to be. And then the meaning of indispensable, I have used a synonym to express it, which is very useful. You see? So again, try to think of ways in which you yourself can restate this statement. As I said at the beginning of the module, it is addressed for intermediate to advanced levels of language skills because it really depends mainly on your analytical skills, your mental skills in understanding and the ability to put the same meaning differently. And this, of course, is going to require linguistic skills, a good grasp of the English language, of the vocabulary, richness of your vocabulary, knowledge of English grammar, of sentence structure, in order to be able to rephrase or use your own words to express the same idea. Now let's look at another example, which is a short paragraph here. At just 8.5 square miles, the Pacific island country of Nauru is one of the smallest countries in the world. The island was once rich in phosphate, but most of the resource has been mined, leaving damage to the environment behind. Nauru has a population of about 10,000 people. So now it's a matter of not just rephrasing, one sentence. It's a matter, which we usually do, it's a matter of paraphrasing a paragraph. Now let's have a look at this author and how the author has rephrased the same content, the same concepts, the same ideas into the author's own language. Nauru is a Pacific island country that is only 8.5 square miles in area. Originally, the sentence was, at just 8.5 square miles, the Pacific island country of Nauru is one of the smallest countries in the world. Now, small is not expressed in the first sentence that the author has written here. It is expressed in a separate sentence following another idea or connecting it to another idea in the main text. It is one of the smallest countries on the planet, and only about 10,000 people live here. You see? So the author who has done the paraphrasing used two ideas: that the island is small and that its population is about 10,000 people in one sentence, which is sentence number 2 here. Again, you are free to do that. You are free to change the order of the ideas. Nauru has mined its own plentiful supply of phosphate. Instead of saying, the island was once rich in phosphate, but most of the resource has been mined, leaving damage to the environment behind. Now, the damage, as a result of mining, is expressed in a separate sentence here. This has damaged the environment on the island. You see? So, one important thing to notice is that the author who has done the paraphrase has kept almost the same length of the paragraph, which is important. So it is one idea, but expressed in your own language and keeping in mind the length of the original text. Now, as we are talking about paraphrasing, and from my experience in teaching research methodology, many students assume that since you have not used the exact words of the author, since you have used paraphrasing or even summarizing, you don't need to document. And I always tell my students that, it's not plagiarism when you take someone else's words and presume they are yours. It is also, as unfair as taking someone's ideas without really documenting and acknowledging the original author. You see? So mainly the important thing is the idea. Number 2, the language. That's why even when we paraphrase or when we summarize, we have to document. And very briefly, documenting means, using what is called, documentation, that is mentioning the author and the page number mainly. There are different ways of documentation, but here in this example, we see that it is mentioning the name of the author and the page number where this idea has been found. And definitely you will have a bibliography or a selected bibliography or list of references in which you are going to give full documentation of the reference. So to sum up this point, paraphrasing is to borrow from a source with accurate documentation. And as I said, documentation might vary from one style of documentation to the